So I'm watching a couple of market trends. I would say the first one is really the change in manufacturing and the fact that manufacturing is moving more local everywhere in the world. So I would say that requires a lot more investment and a lot more use of technology within the country where the manufacturing is happening as companies start to onshore or reshore their manufacturing. As a result of that, the technology trends that people are really embracing are things like digital twins, which allow them to quickly move into digital transformation, because there isn't a company in the world who doesn't need to be more resilient, be able to get their products to market faster, and be able to figure out how to leverage their workforce in new ways to be more productive and actually improve the productivity of not only their people, but their ecosystems. And so I'd say from a technology standpoint, the couple of technologies, digital twins, first and foremost. The second one is AI. It's affecting everything. In fact, I love the quote our CEO has been saying recently, which is, we're probably the last managers that are going to be managing a workforce of just people. Coming forward in the future, we will have workforces where you're managing humans and agents. So interesting feedback, right? And then I would say the third trend that I'm watching is this idea of what I'm calling technology that is adaptive. So technology that actually adapts with you or adapts products and adapts to the conditions or the experiences, which is, as you see, there's hardly a product in the world that doesn't have software in it. The thing that I hear most when I talk to our customers, and I think the folks that are probably your particular audience, is how do we capture the knowledge of today's workforce as that workforce in the next 3 to 5 years might be moving into retirement. And so to me, the biggest trend is the kind of institutional knowledge that is in hardcore manufacturing engineer, or even in kind of the manufacturing environment as that experience walks out of the building. So for me, the trend is really about what are we going to do to capture that knowledge, that institutional knowledge for the future generations. I'm not sure that AI has all that knowledge yet. And so to me, that's the big trend that's not getting enough attention. So I think AI today, most of the technology that's out there that's based on AI is based on large language models. And most of these large language models are based on public domain information. Text, so characters and text, and a lot of pictures. And so from a consumer standpoint, when I use AI, say I ask my phone in order to tell me what's on my agenda today. Help me with a great recipe for what I maybe need to make for dinner tonight. Tell me what I need to know about the meeting I'm about to go into. It looks through a lot of the textual information that I have on all of my devices, and it gives me some pretty good information. But it's somewhat adapted to the consumer world. For me, I think that what it's hindering, if I go to the first part of your question and where I think the biggest opportunities are, is how do we augment AI large language models to understand engineering and manufacturing intent? And what do we do to actually improve the ability for engineers and manufacturers to actually use AI from an unbiased standpoint to actually help us with our business imperatives? So to me, that's, I think, where the future is going to go, is what do we do to actually create large language models and intent? And we're working on this thing called an industrial foundation model, which is really a large language model that is trained in engineering information, digital twin information, modeling information, manufacturing information, that's trained on our own data, because we have a lot of industrial know-how, but also our customers' data, so that they can actually use it for manufacturing and industrial information. Thinking about a design engineer, we've been putting predictive and generative capabilities in our products for many, many, many years. And there's different phases, I think, of AI, if you think about kind of where we're at, where we've been, and where we're going to eventually go. So we've had capabilities in our product for quite some time that actually predict, as a customer is traversing through, say, a CAD model and they're designing, a design engineer, that we now have capability in the product where it can predict, based on the previous commands I've used, what are the next set of most likely commands. So it's almost like a guide, a how-to, a little helper, a coach for me that helps me as a design engineer understand, oh, if you're actually modeling in this particular way, here's likely the next set of commands you're going to need. So we've kind of doing things like predictive modeling. The other thing we do is we have things called generative modeling, which is actually in the model today. So I can take a model a very complex model, and I can use generative model for actually it to go through using the constraints and actually generate a model that maybe can be produced with very different types of manufacturing techniques like additive manufacturing, where it's going to actually do an organic shape and it's going to generate iterations of that model based on the constraints, based on the materials, based on the information I fed into the model, but it's going to generate alternatives I as a designer might not have considered. So we've gone from predictive to generative to, in the future with AI, I'll actually be able to interrogate my model and say, based on all the designs we've ever done in our company, and maybe based on designs of other companies that are building something similar to what I'm designing. Say I'm designing something on a fuselage, or I'm designing something in a piece of an equipment, and I can ask the system, tell me what other designs have been used, or tell me what designs have actually caused us a lot of maintenance records. And I'd like to make sure that this design doesn't have any of those particular constraints that have caused a lot of maintenance. And it actually can go through and make predictive analytics for me and tell me what are those types of things that I might need to do in the design. So we go from predicting commands to generate different iterations to actually using AI to actually give me insights about things we've historically done and actually generate ideas of the future that might be applicable given my business needs. So quite a spectrum of where it can go.